Chapter 3, Jamestown Part 2, Hunting the Powhatan Way. Do you remember that in the last chapter you met the orphan boy Tom and his sister Jane? Today you will find out more about Tom and his life in Jamestown. Tom was glad it was Sunday. This was the only day of the week that many people didn't work in the fields or in their workshops. This made Tom very happy. On Sunday, Tom would also be allowed to hunt or fish. Before chapel, Tom and his friend William often set off to catch a rabbit or a fish for the pot. Today was no exception, and William had arrived at Tom's house bright and early. Tom and William had been hunting and fishing together ever since Tom first arrived in Jamestown. Like Tom, William was an orphan, now living in this English colony. William had taught Tom how to use a bow and arrow and how to catch fish. Although Tom had been a city boy, he had taken to hunting and fishing right away, or as Mrs. Tucker said, like a duck to water. William had learned his hunting and fishing skills from a group of Powhatan boys. These boys had made friends with some of the English children. The Powhatan boys didn't visit Jamestown too much anymore. The Powhatan were no longer good friends with the colonists. The colonists were taking more and more land away from the Powhatan to farm tobacco. The Powhatan wanted the colonists to leave their land. However, the colonists weren't going away. Quite the opposite was happening. More and more colonists were arriving. William greatly respected the Powhatan and their knowledge for the land. He often talked to Tom about this. Everything they need, they get from the forest and the land around them, William often pointed out. The men are expert hunters. They are able to catch more fish in one day than we catch in a whole week. The women grow corn, beans, and squash, and they make their own homes out of saplings, reeds, and bark. They use the fur and hide from animals they hunt to make their clothes. They know what berries and nuts are safe to eat, and what plants can be used to make medicines. Without their help, we would never have survived here. Well, we grow our own food too, Tom had once offered softly, while listening intently to William. Yes, but they taught us how to do that when we first arrived, William had reminded Tom, clearly unimpressed. On this particularly beautiful day, however, William was in a good mood. The boys were going hunting. Come on, Tom, let's go and catch our dinner, he yelled as he stood in the Tuckers' open doorway. Don't be out there all day, exclaimed Mrs. Tucker. We won't be, Tom replied. With that, the two boys ran off toward the woodland some distance away. The boys loved to be in the forest. At this time of year, the sights, smells, and sounds were almost magical. As they crept forward, they trod upon a carpet of pine needles. The sunlight broke through the tall tree tops, and shafts of light illuminated their path. All around them they could hear the scurrying of forest creatures. They walked for a while, enjoying the gift of freedom. They crossed the stream and bent down to drink the water from their cupped hands. As they did, they both heard the sudden sharp sound of a branch breaking. The branch fell to the ground a few feet away from them. Both boys looked up instantly. High up in the tree, about 20 feet above the ground, was a Powhatan boy about the same age as William and Tom. He was sitting on a wide branch and staring at them. His bow and arrow were pointed directly at Tom. William began to speak in a language that Tom did not understand. The Powhatan boy replied using words that Tom did not understand. When the Powhatan boys smiled, then the Powhatan boy smiled and scampered down the tree, landing right beside the boys. Seconds later, the Powhatan boy motioned for them to follow him. William pushed Tom forward. What are we doing? Whispered Tom. We're hunting, whispered William replied. Are we hunting with him? Tom asked. Yes, William said. He's a friend of mine. He's going to teach us how to hunt for deer. I thought we were hunting for rabbits, said Tom nervously. Well, now we are hunting for deer, said William, smiling at his friend. Come on, you've survived the streets of London, haven't you? With that, William and Tom followed the Powhatan boy deeper into the forest. Why do you think William admires the Powhatans so much? And why does he worry about their well-being? That is the end of chapter 3.